Libra, this one is for you. Hi, this is Tarot Lumination. Welcome to your love and relationship reading for September 2017. And that's for you, Libra. Okay. All right. So let's keep it very simple, okay? This month we're going to keep it very, very simple. I'm sorry that the reports are coming out so late. It's been a very demanding, challenging, time-consuming month. But Tarot Lumination is still going, it seems. So that's good. Hope this helps. Hope this works for you guys. You know the drill. Please read for your sun, your moon, and your rising, and then squish it all together. See if you can make up your own story out of that. We're going to read for Libra now. And, you know, there's quite a few of you out there. It might not resonate with you, but, you know, we're going to do our best. There's no cards were already pre-shuffled, but I do it to the very last second so that you are a witness. And there's no jumpers, no flyers. I don't really do that much. And there's no reversals. So we're just calling out in the most simple way possible, okay? And just letting the cards tell the story, all right? So this one's for you. We're going to cut. We're going to cut again. There we go. There we go. There we go. Now, we're doing this reading on the understanding that we're dealing with more to do with relationships, chosen relationships, and relationships that are already in play. I don't have a lot here for the singles. You can interpret this if you want for singles, the energy on this side of the reading, on this side of the spread, and then on the understanding that you radiate energy anyway of relationships all the time anyway. And so the energy over here on this side of another person might resonate with what the cards are telling us, even though that person might not be with you in your life at this present moment. Okay, let's have a look. We shuffled and we cut. So this would be your energy, okay? And this would be the energy of the chosen one, the significant other, a person of interest, okay? And this is the energy going deep inside of you. This is the energy going deep inside of the other. This is the energy of the relationship itself. Now, do you see how we have a crucible shape here? It's a cup shape. It's a container. The crucible is a very, very powerful, more durable structure that can withstand intense pressure, the sort of thing that occurs in relationships. Now, not all relationships have a strong foundation or a strong or powerful crucible, because to have a really good crucible means that both parties have to be vested, willing to invest in the relationship. And in a very healthy relationship, they would conduct themselves through the relationship itself rather than direct one-on-one. A lot of people assume that once you have a formal relationship, then everything that you're doing here now becomes established and you just keep doing it, but in a formal way. Whereas in a healthy relationship, both parties understand that that the relationship itself has its own identity and energy and mission and purpose. And it needs to be honored and respected and nurtured and grown, almost to the point where that's more important than the so-called relationship itself going this way. Anyway, sorry, I was talking too much. Here we go. Here's the outcome, where it's heading, the momentum, so to speak, as we go through September. And we're going to look at this card underneath. It's the weather, I think, is the weather that permeates the whole thing. And the weather is what it is, just like regular weather. You're not going to take it personally. You're going to make the best of it, whatever it is. Hopefully, you're not going to be living at the mercy of the weather. In other words, if it's a beautiful day, you're going to be happy automatically, even though you're miserable inside. That's kind of like fooling yourself. And also, if it's a miserable day in the weather, doesn't mean you're going to be miserable inside, because you have a certain core energy of happiness inside you, and you can choose to be happy. It's your decision. All right? So what you have the Ten of Wands. So in some aspect of your life right now, perhaps in the relationship itself, you might be feeling that there's too much to handle here. It's almost like the feeling like it's very oppressive energy. It's almost like unbearable energy. You know, if it gets like super ultra cold and bitter, in weather or super hot and humid and stultifying, it almost makes it impossible to do anything. And so you might be feeling a bit of that. Maybe you're feeling stuck in some kind of way. Maybe you're feeling like it's a lot of work, and it's taking all your drive, inspiration, and passion just to keep going through to the end of each day. Now, I don't know if that's happening with all of you, but whether this is actually happening to you or for you, but it might feel that the conditions and the surroundings are oppressive, okay? So try not to take it personally, all right, Libra? Let's have a look. Okay, so even if it is very, very challenging for you right now, at least, Libra, you have good intentions. With the Page of Wands here, for me, it feels as though somewhere deep inside of you, you know you're kind of on path. It's just that you're in a situation where you're having to like dig deep inside to your like core, your core of innocent being, and dig it up in some way, like lift yourself up off the ground, like be that, you know, it's almost like being a child, like where, you know how children can sometimes withstand intense challenges and trauma and pain, and somehow or other they shake it off and get up and start all over again. Yes, they might pay for it later in life, but children have this amazing capacity to completely like get up and start all over, and then giggle and laugh their whole way through it as if nothing happened. Now, I'm not saying you're a child here, Libra. It's just that inside of you, it feels like you're conducting yourself through September in such a way that you have all the best intentions to make the best of it, no matter how challenging things may feel, no matter how burdensome. You're going to find a way. You are going to tap in to your, let's say, youthful innocence, almost not the naivety, but that youthful spirit. You're just going to like pep yourself up and say, you know what, Libra, I'm not going to be a victim of this stuff. Whatever's happening in this relationship, we're going to deal with it. We're going to deal with it and find a way out of whatever might be oppressive. All right. So we're going to look at the energy of the other person now. Okay, so you might be relating to someone, Libra, who in their own way is very comfortable with who they are. They are radiating the energy of the King of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles is the master of the physical plane. They understand like the process of manifestation in life and how energy and finance and resources all work and combine together in such a way that there's an effective, stable, long-term outcome that is not just beneficial for the self, but for the domain over which the king rules. So it's very, very good, strong, positive energy. This is it. I don't think that, like with this other person here, Libra, I don't think this is them. I don't think it's their energy going to their head or anything like that. I just think you might be in a situation where you're realizing that you're relating to someone who has certain skills, abilities, standards, resources, gifts, talents, and it's kind of part of their life. It's kind of who they are. It's what they are. It's just they're one of those type of people, like pretty solid in their own way. They might obviously have, everyone has issues, but in terms of day-to-day life, they've got substance. They are a person of substance, and they are not ashamed of that. They don't exploit that for their own vanity or anything. They're just good. It's just good, solid, really strong, positive, grounded, earthing energy that's good for everybody and anyone around them. We don't know what their inner challenges are right now or what's going on, but we're going to find out in a minute. I want to go back to this for a moment. Now, with the Ten of Wands here, remember, Libra, this is your reading about you in the context of love and relationship. And so this is your weather, okay? And it permeates your perspective of the relationship. This is not a couples reading, okay? If it was a couples reading, there would be two of you here in a private setting, okay? This is for you, Libra, with the relationship. So this energy over here is literally the energy of the other person in the context of the relationship, whereas this whole reading is yours, all right, Libra? I hope that makes sense. So even though, Libra, you might be relating with someone who has, in their own way, some way, somehow, they've got it all together, like intangible ways that everyone else would notice, like, oh, well, they've got their act together. They've got they're stable, strong, solid, reliable. They have all of that. And they're not hurtful or abusive in any way. They're good to themselves. They're good for themselves, and they're good for the community around them. Well, that's great, Libra. Awesome. Wow. But with this 10 of Wands here, it might indicate that there's like an imbalance here in the relationship. There's a lot of, let's say, innocence here. And you're feeling like, if this is the energy that's around things where, let's just say the weather is affecting you to the point where it's very noticeable that there's a like big disparity between yourself and this other person, in a way that it's actually causing discomfort. You know, sometimes you have those relationships, people from whatever they call it, the other side of the tracks, where there's a big disparity in social standing, financial standing, community standing, perhaps with your background or religion or anything like that. But there's a big disparity, which, you know, things might be great between you guys as individuals, but when you take the whole person and their whole, what I would call lifestyle package, their lifestyle package deal, it might be that there's a high degree of disparity where, like you, Libra, might be feeling as though you're a little bit like, I don't want to contaminate the reading, but like in some ways they have a little bit of ownership and dominion over you, Libra, simply because of their abundance, okay, which can make you feel a little bit maybe naive or innocent or less than the other. So that puts things in a very awkward dynamic. And that can happen, you know, when two people are, you know, quite different in their, let's just say, status, so to speak, especially when it comes to material status. Okay, that can cause problems later on. It might be resentment in other, extended family situations, like, hey, Libra, you know, you're out of your depth over here, or hey, King, what are you doing hanging out with little Libra over here? And that causes problems down the road. I'm not trying to demean you, Libra, or inflate the other one. All I'm suggesting, and this is one of my interpretations of feelings that I'm getting from the reading here. And obviously, it might make you feel as though you have a lot to live up to now. And how are we going to do that? Because it would be much more, fun, let's just say fun, to have a relationship that was a little more balanced, where the disparity wasn't so obvious and it wasn't like oppressive. Because even though this might be a very generous, bountiful energy directly to you, we're in a, you live in the context of a relationship, and the relationship has an identity and structure of its own. So if the 10 of Wands is there, indicating some degree of it's like too much, it's too oppressive, not sure if you can handle this, wondering whether it's even worth it at all, that's a problem, okay? I'm not saying the relationship is a mess. I'm just saying we're touching on a very awkward dynamic here that can occur inside relationships. So let's dig a bit deeper. Okay, so my feeling here with the Two of Pentacles is that deep inside of you, you're struggling with your own issues, your own emotional turbulence, which is really your business. And it might be triggered by the dynamics of this relationship. Because if there is a big disparity between the two parties, and it causes you, let's say, emotional turbulence inside, or feelings of lack, or where it's not, it might be so good in certain aspects, but with the context of a disparity, it can trigger a sense of like emotional discomfort and awkwardness that makes it really, really hard to like be really to be honest and balanced and open in the relationship without having to worry about these disparities. Whereas these disparities, they might color everything about the relationship to the point where it's just like you can't be you. You can't be your true self. You're always having to juggle between the person you are and the person that you feel you might be supposed to be in order to match this other person and to have things in harmony and balance. And that leaves you in a state of imbalance where it's almost like constantly 24/7 having to manage your own internal emotional turbulence, which, it's not a lot of fun. That's just not always the most fun way to conduct a relationship, especially a healthy relationship. It would be nice to have some more balance here, but it would be nice if creating a sense of balance was not all on your shoulders, Libra. In other words, maybe there could be some kind of compromise in their attitudes or behaviors, or maybe something needs to be discussed so that we can bring this issue to the surface and deal with it so it isn't so oppressive. Let's have a look. Let's see what's going on inside of them. Okay. So my feeling here with the Page of Cups is that they mean well. There's no harm intended here. It's just a circumstantial type of energy where, let's say there's you, Libra, and there's the significant other, and you're both being like who you are with each other. It's just that there's this sort of degree of disparity which creates this awkwardness between both parties, like what to do about it. And with the Page of Cups here, it might be that the other person here is being exposed in such a way that, yes, they might have all this together, and that's wonderful. It would be, everybody would want this in a relationship, to have someone who's really solid, materially, let's say, solvent. They've got their act together when it comes to the nuts and bolts of life, and they're going to survive. Not only survive, they are like masters in the material plane, so to speak. But there might be like this disparities where inside they might be a child, for all we know. Like maybe this person is a trust fund baby, or maybe this person works extremely hard to bring home the money, so to speak, but they've been neglecting the love aspect. It's there, but it's sweet and it's naive and a bit innocent, almost to the degree of your own innocence, Libra. So in other words, in this kind of very roundabout but awkward way, you end up with two people who are in some way, deep down, very equally matched, but it's also in a very awkward situation. So the question is, what do you do about that? How can you handle that? Because your intentions are good, outwardly and openly, and in a very straightforward way. There's no ambiguity with you here, Libra. You're doing everything you can to conduct yourself as well as you can, for the sake of the relationship and for yourself. And in some way, they're also trying to do the same. It's like they actually mean well, There's no harm intended. But the reality is there's a high degree of naivety and innocence deep down inside of them when it comes to, especially to matters of the heart. In other words, sometimes, people, if there's a lot of abundance in their life, things can be comfortable enough where they never actually have to face head on some of the really profoundly heavy, serious challenges that a lot of people have to deal with who are not so comfortable, because a lot of people, the vast majority of the people are just struggling to get by, day to day, week by week, month by month, paycheck to paycheck, and so on. But if you, Libra, you're relating to someone who has substance to the point where the material side of life is more stable than others normally, what can happen is, that degree of comfort, people don't want to mess with that. If there's a high degree of comfort in the material plane, why would anyone want to stretch that or go outside of that in order to challenge themselves or deal with love. Why not? In other words, wouldn't it be convenient if love worked for everybody in this very simple, innocent, sweet way, as opposed to having to deal with the energies of what happens in a significant, profound relationship where people are deliberately relating consciously together to face all aspects of the relationship. So what I'm seeing here for you, Libra, is that on both sides of the relationship, there are good intentions and both sides are well-meaning, but there's a high degree of naivety in both parties, which is being exposed in the relationship. Your own naivety in ways that you can tell outwardly. You know that. In other words, Libra, you kind of know what's happening here. You understand it, and you could articulate this in a conversation with a stranger if you had to. Whereas Libra, you're dealing with someone who might have all of this, and that's awesome, but they may not have the ability to articulate what is going on with them internally, emotionally, with love or with heart energy, because it's deep inside and their sweetness and innocence is there. And so they would be perceived as, oh, someone who's got it together, whereas deep inside, they're a little bit innocent, sweet, naive, and perhaps vulnerable. And so, again, this is kind of an awkward thing. You're quite open with the way things are. They are just being themselves. But you, Libra, are discovering that deep inside of them, even though they have all this, in some ways they're almost like, I don't want to say a child, but, you know, a little naive, sweet, and innocent, and still have a lot to learn. Well, let's not get too rigid about the reading. In some ways, whether this is external and this is internal, whatever, there's an equal degree of naivety and innocence here. So let's call it an even. Let's just call it evens for now, all right? Just for the time being. And it just sucks a little bit for you that you might be feeling the imbalance as getting to the point where it's almost unbearable. And we don't really know yet how we're going to deal with that or fix it. Because it looks like the relationship does have reason and purpose for being. And, you know, and passion is there, desire is there, and the foundational abilities are there, but we're discovering inside there's all sorts of wobbly things going on here. Okay, you can see the similarity between the cards in some ways. Now let's get to the core of the relationship energy itself, okay? Because, you know, we're doing this reading on the understanding that there's you, Libra, there's a significant other, but here's the relationship itself. Now, I like to do these readings with the crucible structure here. But a lot of times, even though people mean well and they might think they have a very significant, important relationship, they're conducting themselves like this, directly face-on one-to-one, whereas in a really healthy relationship, there would be a much higher degree of awareness that there is the self, the other, and the relationship itself. And I'm sensing that awareness is not really here, or at least not in a big way. So yeah, you might have a relationship, you might have what might appear to be a structure, but it's not defined, it's not clear, it was not ever brought into full consciousness. Here's our relationship, we're going to commit, I'm going to commit to you, you're going to commit to me, how are we going to do this? In other words, I love you very much, I love you very much, which is fine, but it might be more mature to say, I really love what we have, our relationship. Oh yeah, I love our relationship too. I place very high value on our relationship. So what would happen then? You would conduct your behavior, actions, and all big decisions through the relationship itself, as opposed to one-on-one. Okay, and Libra, you are the sign of relationships, so you might be very, very prone to just go this way because it seems so natural. However, at Tarot Illumination, I like to feel that there is a third entity called the relationship. So let's have a look. We're looking at the three of discs here. So I'm kind of relieved to see this, because what this indicates to me, to read for you, Libra, is that you have a work in progress here. It's almost like, okay, so you've reached a point in your relationship, no matter if it's a fairly new or a mature relationship, or it's been going on for a long time, and that energy of oppression is there. Sure, that's weather. Weather will change, weather will pass, because deep down, it feels like the relationship itself does have structure and a degree of stability and value and worth, and it is mutually shared, mutually acknowledged and appreciated to some degree, but only to the degree that you guys are capable of, given your natural innocence. So, in other words, there's enough substance here inside the dynamic of the relationship to make it worth going, even though for you, Libra, things might feel a bit oppressive right now. In other words, if the relationship itself has this kind of energy where, let's say that's you, Libra, here, you're doing everything you can to the highest degree of standards that you can possibly muster, and you're doing it really, really well. And your significant other is over here on, let's say, this energy here. And they definitely acknowledge that and they appreciate that. So there's a high degree of appreciation between you and a significant other. And it goes both ways. We could put the other person here too, and you over here, where you understand that they are also doing their best and they have the best of intentions. And it is kind of a work in progress. And the work in progress might be to come to the realization that, yes, let's just admit it. Let's just admit it. I'm the Libra, you're the other. We're both a little bit naive and innocent when it comes to this stuff, and we obviously have a lot to learn, and we're going to figure it out. We're just going to call it a work in progress, and we're just going through a bumpy patch right now where I am the Libra, and I have to admit, it's a little bit burdensome because of this. Okay, I, Libra, don't want to judge you or knock it down, because I really highly value this aspect of your nature. But in the relationship, I am discovering that you are a little bit sweet and innocent. I don't want to say child. And like, if you get into a hassle here or a haggling match, we're like, you need to grow up. And then, you're not treating me nice. I didn't know, I didn't understand. I love you. And it goes back and forth like that. So the naivety becomes more and more evident as you engage directly and personally. And so long as you, Libra, don't take it too personally as like a challenge, like, ugh, just because the energy might feel oppressive doesn't mean it's a bad relationship. It just might mean that the relationship needs work. Okay, it needs work between both sides, both parties, and it looks like there's enough commitment between you guys to be willing to do that. The stability is there, okay? And it's just that it's a work in progress. And, you know, that can take time, all right? Let's have a look. Okay, well, with justice here, let's just say you're getting exactly what you deserve, Libra, because this is what happens when you engage with another, and it's deliberate and it's by choice, and you are continuing to go ahead by choice, even if the conditions feel oppressive. And it is an indication here that you are willing to put in the time and the work and energy necessary to try and figure it out, not only to hold your own balance and equilibrium, but to hold it together for the relationship, because you see it's worth it. And I have a feeling that they feel the same. So each of you are struggling in your own way through this work in progress. And that's exactly how it should be. With the Justice card here, it's like both of you are getting exactly what you deserve. And okay, so there might be a high degree of disparity between the two of you in some way or another, and it's being exposed. But treat that as the gift. That is the way, that is like the chessboard on which you can work out this work in progress, so to speak. In other words, you're not going blind here. You kind of know what's happening. You know the parameters. You know what the problems are, the limitations, the challenges, the disparities, and you're working on it in a committed way where there's a high degree of appreciation between each other. Like, there's no question you really, really appreciate each other, but it's also work to get things into balance here. But that's good because this is just how it should be. In other words, this is ordained. It's almost like it's ordained that this is how it needs to be for you guys, because this is what keeps both of you on path for your own evolution. And it's not just you, Libra. The other party really benefits out of relating with you just as much as you benefit out of relating with the other party. And this reading is indicating one of the particularly challenging aspects of your relationship that has to be dealt with in the context of the relationship. In other words, you're not going to go at it like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's more like, we're going to deal with this. It's a relationship issue. This is our relationship. We're going to deal with this, even though I'm not sure what's going on and I'm struggling to balance. And even though you appear to be like a little child to me sometimes in your innocence and naivety, but we're going to deal with it, and we're going to work it out, and it's going to be just fine. And we're going to get everything back in balance again. So it is spoken, so it is done. All right? All right, Libra, I hope you get something out of that. Please read for your sun, moon, and rising. Make the best of it. And I'll leave this here on the side for you so that you can, reinterpret it however you want, okay? It's your reading, all right, Libra? Have a super September. Bye-bye.